I've been saying for many years now that I will move to Linux as soon as X, Y, and Z are available. I've been saying this since, probably 2012 or so, and before then I actually used Ubuntu as my daily driver. I had it on my laptop, and it was pretty great. But I also dual-booted Windows because there were a bunch of things on Ubuntu that just would not work, and I needed them to work. And I've been on Windows ever since. Admittedly, I don't suppose there's any surprise to that. Windows is Windows, and everybody has it, right? But I have always been saying to people, I would switch to Linux, but there's this that I need, and it doesn't work on Linux, so I can't. And when one thing has been fixed and works, invariably there's been another thing or another couple of things that has come out, and they have not worked. The biggest one right now is the Affinity Suite, which I absolutely require to do anything channel related or design related, which is kind of a big thing for me. But here's the thing: right now, 99% of what I need either works natively on Linux or can be reasonably bodged together and be made to work on Linux. So I am putting my money where my mouth is, and I am preparing to switch over as soon as I possibly can, really. The current plan is to get myself a nice, fast M.2 SSD. It's basically a very fast hard drive that I can plug into my computer. I'm going to get one of those, and it's going to have Linux on it. I'm going to boot from that. And I suspect for a while I will still dual boot Windows just in case, but I will make a proper valiant effort to daily drive Linux again. I know it's GNU/Linux. Yes, get away, Stallman, I know. I have decided on a distro that I'm going to use. I've been researching and looking at various distros over the years in an effort to find one that's right for me, and I've looked at so many. Crunchbang was one of the early ones that I looked at, and that was really great, but not exactly what I'm looking for. I tried Kubuntu, that was quite good, and Ubuntu, of course, but Ubuntu's doing weird things. It's getting a bit businessy. Not a fan. I'm not going to go for Ubuntu. There was just plain old Debian. I love Debian, and that will be a potential. It's a little too bare bones, I think. There's what other ones I've tried? There's Pop! OS and Mint. I've given those a go, and there's been one or two others. I can't remember the exact names off the top of my head. But the one that I think I'm going to go for is MX Linux, and it's really, really good. I've been playing around with it in a VM. Managed to fill up the whole hard drive trying to build something, so that's good. The Linux experience, everybody. Yeah, it's just a joy to use. And I installed Kubuntu on my laptop a while ago to try it out, and it was like slipping into an old pair of slippers, It was wonderful. Really, really nice to use, and so much. It just feels more free and more like it's my computer than when I'm using Windows, which increasingly feels less and less like I'm in control of it. So, two things before I switch over. The first is the SSD, aforementioned. That's going to cost money, so that's not an immediate thing. Possibly at the end of the month I can look at getting that purchased. And the other thing is MX Linux is just about to release a new major version 23. So I'm going to wait for that to release, and I might try it out in a VM just to make sure it's all stable and good, but it's probably going to be stable because it's a very old system, it's very reliable. And that'll be that. I think that from then on, I'll be a Linux person again. Oh man, yeah, I've got a long history with Linux, and it's always been one of those things that I really would like to use. And the thing is, I use Debian on a very regular basis. I use Linux on my servers. It's the operating system that I always go for. It's lightweight. It just works, So it's always been a part of my operation just not as my daily driver. But it was in 2003. Was it 2003, around then, when my dad, he may have to corroborate this story because I'm not exactly sure how it went, but I'm fairly certain he bought a computer that had Linux on it. It had SUSE Linux, which, I don't know, it's very nostalgic. I really want to do a video one day where I look at some of these older versions of Linux and say, oh, this was the first one I used, and it was SUSE version 7 or whatever, from 2003 with KDE. It was very green, and it had the Potato Head game on it, and also, what was it called? The Mine... Clam Bomber, that was it. Yeah, good times, good times. I liked Linux, and I still like Linux. It's going to be an interesting journey, I think, getting used to it again and using it as the daily thing. I mean, the thing is, there's been a lot of arguments to say, I've read various articles that say your web browser is your operating system, and while I totally disagree with that, the web browser is where a lot of stuff happens these days, and so switching operating systems isn't as massive a deal as it used to be, but there's still a lot to... there's a lot of difference between Windows and your average Linux distro. New applications, new ways of doing things. Undoubtedly, all the software that I used in 2011 has probably been superseded by something newer and better. So I'm going to have to do a lot of research and see what is out there and what will suit my needs. Like I said, I've been using Linux on the command line, but the desktop is a whole different world when it comes to Linux. So, looking forward to it, and of course I'm going to document my journey on these vlogs, as ever. So I hope you will join me for that, and I hope you enjoy what I have to say about it. And, well, hey, while I'm here, why not? Have you ever used an operating system other than Windows and Android and iOS? Mobile systems notwithstanding, because, well, that's the thing. Based on market share alone, Linux is actually the biggest operating system in the world. You think Windows is everywhere, well, Linux is really everywhere. You know, something like 90-something% of systems around the world use Linux, because it's been used on most servers. Most servers don't use Windows, because you'd be crazy to use Windows Server in a proper environment. Yeah, Linux is the place to be for servers, and servers are most of the world's computers, so that's how it is. And of course, these run Linux. Those ones that don't run iOS anyway. But yes, if you've used any alternative desktop operating systems that are not Windows, then I would love to hear about it and your experiences with them. So do let me know in the comments. And if your name is Ithronia, then how's your custom operating system coming along? Right, that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow!